You are a lifelong Raiders fan.
Yes.
And now Tom Brady in the ownership group, who's also a mentor of Shedeur Sanders. Do you wish the Raiders would have drafted Shedeur?
Yeah, I do. I do wish we would have got Prime's son. But look, here's my theory on why he went in the 5th round. Because anybody who drafted him may have been drafting the player that would get him fired. Because Prime Time want to coach his son in the NFL. So if there was a bad season, that coach should be gone. And Prime would be the coach. They was drafting in their best interest to keep.
All right, football fam, let's crank this up a notch. You're not going to believe the bombshell Ice Cube just dropped about why Shedeur Sanders, most electric quarterbacks in recent college football history, slid all the way to the 5th round in the NFL draft. This ain't just about throwing spirals or reading defenses anymore. This is some next level NFL drama that's got the whole football world buzzing. We're talking about a theory so wild, it's like something straight out of a Hollywood script, and it's all centered around Shedeur's dad, the one and only Deion Sanders, Primetime himself. So, grab a seat, maybe a cold one, and let's dive deep into this story, because it's gonna change how you see the Sanders family and the NFL draft forever. As a die-hard football fan who's been breaking down NFL news on YouTube for years, I'm telling you, this one's got me fired up, and I'm about to lay it all out for you in true gridiron fashion. Let's set the stage. I've been following Shedeur Sanders since his days at Colorado, where he was straight up torching defenses and making highlight reels look like his personal playground. This kid's got his everything you want in a franchise quarterback, a cannon for an arm, the kind of poise in the pocket that makes you think he's been starting in the NFL for a decade, and leadership skills that have his teammates ready to run through a brick wall for him. We're talking about a guy who was shattering records, making clutch plays, showing the kind of swagger that screams future star. So when the draft rolled around and Shedeur didn't hear his name until to hear 5th round, I was like, what in the world is going on here? I know I wasn't the only one. Fans, analysts, even my barber was confused. Then Ice Cube steps up to the mic with his jaw-dropping interview, and suddenly, the whole picture starts coming into focus. This ain't just some random celebrity trying to stir the pot for attention. Ice Cube's a legit voice in the sports world. He's been around the block, knows the game, and has a knack for sniffing out the politics that run deeper than a 4th and goal play. Here's the heart of Ice Cube's theory, and trust me, saying he's getting his into lineside blitz. He's saying NFL teams weren't passing on Shedeur because they doubted his talent. Nah, they were scared to draft him because of what comes with him, Deion Sanders. Yeah, we're talking about Primetime, the guy who redefined what it means to be a shutdown corner. A Hall of Famer who's got charisma for days and a resume that makes most coaches look like they're still in Pop Warner. Saying he's going to keep speaking his mind no matter that teams were worried about the ripple effect of bringing Shedeur into their locker room. Picture this, you're a head coach, already juggling immediate things, play calling, media pressure, keeping your star players happy, and now you draft Shedeur, and suddenly you've got Deion Sanders, one of the most influential figures in sports history, potentially in your orbit. Cube's theory goes even deeper, and this is where it gets wild. He's suggesting some teams were straight up paranoid that if Shedeur struggled, Deion might not just sit quietly on the sidelines. They were worried he could start making waves, maybe dropping a spicy comment on ESPN, tweeting about the playbook, or in the worst case scenario for these coaches, angling to get more involved, maybe even taking over. Can you imagine being an NFL coach with that kind of pressure hanging over your head? You're trying to develop a rookie QB, and now you're wondering if Primetime's gonna be looking over your shoulder, ready to call you out if things go south. Now, let's pump the brakes for a second and look at why this theory makes so much sense. Deion Sanders isn't just a coach or a former player. He's a cultural force. Look at what he did at Colorado. The man took a program that was basically a footnote in college football and turned it into the hottest ticket in town. Recruiting. He's pulling in 5-star talent like it's nothing. Player development. His guys are balling out and growing as men. Culture. He's got that program oozing swagger and confidence. Deion doesn't just coach, he transforms everything he touches, and that's both a blessing and a curse for Shedeur. On one hand, having a dad who's a football genius is like having a cheat code. On the other, it's a problem when NFL front offices start overthinking the what-ifs. They're sitting in their war rooms, asking questions like, what happens if Shedeur has a rough game and Deion goes on First Take to talk about our offensive scheme? What if he starts questioning our QB coach? Or what if he wants to be in the building, giving pointers? And let's not kid ourselves, some of these teams were probably worried about the media circus that follows Deion everywhere. The man's a natural, born entertainer. He walks into a room and the cameras are on him. For some of these buttoned-up NFL franchises that like to keep things quiet and controlled, that's a hard no. What really gets under my skin about this whole situation is how unfair it is to Shedeur. This kid's been dealing with this narrative his entire career. Every time he laces up, say he's not just playing for himself. He's playing as Deion Sanders' son. That's a lot to carry, and it's not right. I've watched hours of his tape, and let me tell you, this dude can flat out play. His mechanics are clean, his decision making is sharp, and he's got that rare ability to elevate everyone around him. He's been proving himself since high school, and he's done it under the kind of scrutiny most players never face. But Ice Cube's theory shows you what's really going on in those NFL front offices. These GMs and coaches aren't just scouting talent, they're playing a game of politics, thinking about job security, locker room dynamics, and how to avoid a PR headache. When you draft a guy whose dad is a global sports icon, it's not just about the player, it's about the whole package. Let's break this down even further. NFL teams looked at Shedeur Sanders and saw a potential superstar. No one's arguing he doesn't have the skills, but then the suits in the front office started having those late-night meetings, whispering about the risks. What if Shedeur struggles and Deion starts making noise? What if he wants to be in the QB room giving advice? What if the media turns every bad game into a Deion vs. the coaching staff storyline? And yeah, I hate to say it, but some teams probably didn't want the spotlight that comes with the Sanders name. Deion's a magnet for attention, and for some of these old school organizations, that's a deal breaker. They want players who fit neatly into their system, not a guy who comes with a larger-than-life dad and a media frenzy. To our prime time energy, yo, Deion, you're out here running the show, man. Colorado's eating good with you around, kids love you, campus is buzzing, and the program's making bank. You're like the king of Boulder. But let's be real, if you took that energy to the Raiders, oh man, that'd be something special. As the unofficial president of the Raider Nation fan club, I'm signing off on this one. Approved. Ice Cube, basically. Now here's where Ice Cube's theory takes it to another level, and I'm loving every second of it. He's not just calling out teams for being scared of Deion. He's throwing out the idea that maybe Deion should follow Shedeur to the NFL if the right situation comes up. Picture this, prime time on an NFL sideline, maybe with a team like the Raiders, bringing that same energy he's got at Colorado. When Cube talks about Deion in a Raiders uniform, you can hear the excitement in his voice, like he's already got the popcorn ready for that show. And honestly, I'm kinda here for it too. Deion's proven he's more than just a hype man. Look at what he's done with Colorado, taking a team that was scraping the bottom of the barrel and turning them into must-watch TV. His recruiting is elite, his player development is on point, and the way he connects with young athletes is something you can't teach. Cube's not just talking about football here. He's talking about how Deion's shaping these young guys into leaders, into men who can handle life off the field. That's the kind of impact that gets lost in all the glitz and glamour around the Sanders name, but it's what makes Deion so special. Let's zoom back in on Shedeur and what this means for his future. The Cleveland Browns were the ones who finally said, screw it, we're taking this kid, and snagged him in the 5th round. And you know what? That might be the best thing that could have happened. Cleveland's got a solid QB room with veterans like Joe Flacco and Deshaun Watson, so Shedeur doesn't have to step in and be the guy right out of the gate. He gets to sit, learn the NFL game, soak up knowledge from some seasoned pros, and develop without the weight of the world on his shoulders. That's a dream scenario for a young quarterback. If Ice Cube's theory is right, saying he's going to keep speakings that passed on Shedeur are going to be kicking themselves when they see what he can do at the next level. I mean, think about it. This kid's been playing under pressure his whole life. Having your dad as your head coach, that's a dynamic most athletes never have to deal with. Shedeur's been navigating that and still putting up numbers that make your jaw drop. If he can handle that, he can handle anything the NFL throws at him. What really chaps my hide, though, is that Shedeur's getting penalized for something he can't control. He didn't choose to be Deion Sanders' son, but he's had to live with the expectations, the comparisons, and now, according to Cube, a draft slide because teams are intimidated by his dad. That's not just unfair, it's straight up wrong. But sometimes the universe has a funny way of working things out. Look at the greats. Michael Jordan got cut from his high school team. Tom Brady was the 199th pick. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for years. Sometimes, getting overlooked is the spark you need to go from good to all-time great. From everything I've seen, Shedeur's work ethic, his competitiveness, his ability to block out the noise. This draft experience is gonna light a fire under him that's gonna burn for years. Every time he steps on that NFL field, he's gonna have a chip on his shoulder the size of Mile High Stadium. He's gonna remember those 31 teams that passed on him, and he's gonna make pay. So, let's hear it, fam. What do you think about Ice Cube's theory? Are NFL teams really out here dodging Shedeur because they're scared of Deion's influence, or is this just a bunch of noise? Drop your takes in the comments, because I'm dying to know what y'all think. The more I chew on this, the more it adds up. NFL coaches and GMs are already walking a tightrope, adding a figure like Deion Sanders into the mix. That's a lot to handle. But here's where I push back a bit. If teams are piquing his mind, note about Deion, that's a them problem. Great organizations don't run from big personalities, they embrace them. Look at how the Patriots worked with Tom Brady's larger-than-life presence, or how the Steelers handle their stars. If anything, I think Deion would play it smart. Everything I've seen from Prime says he's all about setting his kids up for success, not causing headaches for their teams. He knows where the line is, and he's not going to cross it. What's fascinating about Ice Cube's perspective is that he's coming at this as someone who's crushed it in multiple arenas: music, movies, sports, you name it. He knows what it's like to have influence, to have people either ride with you or run from you. When he talks about Deion maybe coaching in the NFL, you can tell he's hyping it up for the cameras. He sees the potential. And for Shedeur, this is just the beginning. Cleveland's giving him a shot, and I think it's going to be a match made in heaven. He gets to grow without the pressure of being a top pick. The Browns get a potential steal, and Shedeur gets to use this whole saga as motivation to prove the doubters wrong. At the end of the day, the NFL draft isn't just about who's got the best arm or the quickest release. It's about politics, comfort levels, and sometimes straight up fear. But when the whistle blows and the pads are on, none of that matters. It's about what you do on the field. Shedeur Sanders has the skills, the heart, and the hunger to make it in this league. Ice Cube's theory might explain why he fell, but it's not going to define his story. I'm betting on Shedeur to show the NFL what he's made of, and when he does, those teams that passed on him are gonna wish they had a time machine. Hit me up in the comments. Are teams really spooked by Deion, or is this overblown? How's Shedeur gonna do in Cleveland? And if you're as locked in as I am to see how this plays out, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're gonna be riding with Shedeur every step of the way, and something tells me this story's about to get real interesting. Let's go!